Interesting comments I've been noticing lately. So I did the video about a week ago now. Well, no, not even that. On Vezina. Who's leading the way for Vezina? And I discussed how Fleury hadn't played enough games, and I still think that for him to get into the conversation for Vezina, he'd pretty much have to play every game for Vegas from here. But the question gets asked, well, Vegas's blue line isn't very good compared to other teams up there like Tampa and Nashville. Now, I can't argue that Nashville's blue line isn't better than Vegas's because I'm not crazy, I have two eyes, and I've been watching hockey for more than 5 minutes. But here's the thing. George McPhee went out and put together a very good team, and the blue line is part of that. And what's interesting is I decided, you know what, I'm going to put them up against Tampa. So you have Vegas's blue line. I can't find the big Vegas. It doesn't matter. You get the point. Vegas and Tampa. So what does Vegas have on the blue line? Well, if you look at ice time, Nate Schmidt leads the way with 1836. He's second in points with 31 in 65 games. And Nate Schmidt is an excellent defender. And Washington was very upset to lose Nate Schmidt last summer. Washington fans were upset to lose Nate Schmidt last summer. He's not a player who would have been available for trade. Colin Miller leads the way with 35 points. He plays 15 minutes and 51 seconds per game. And Colin Miller's a guy that I always liked in Boston. I was very upset that Boston lost him. And I still wish he was on that Boston blue line. And that's, I understand I may be in the minority on that. But when I see the points he's putting up this year, yeah, I saw that potential with him. Derek England is having a renaissance. So if you want to talk about guys who have been directly helped by going to Vegas, look no further than England, who has lived in Vegas and is as close to a hometown guy as you're going to find with the Vegas Golden Knights. And his 22 points in 68 games, his 17 minutes and 12 seconds per game, that's pretty impressive. England has been excellent. Braden McNabb, 13 points in 63 games. His contributions have been more under the radar. He's not the offensive defenseman, obviously, on this blue line. Shea Theodore, a guy who got taken from Anaheim because Anaheim didn't want to lose any of their core defensemen, so they were willing to allow Shea Theodore to go to Anaheim to protect some of their more prized assets. So Theodore goes to Vegas, 48 games, 20 points, 17:09 in ice time. And Shea Theodore is on the trajectory that we all thought he would be in Vegas. It's a very good defense. Now, one of the interesting ones for me is Brad Hunt. Brad Hunt, 40 games played, 18 points, 14 minutes and 14 seconds. I've always liked Brad Hunt. He attended training camp for the Canucks. I think he was in the Canucks training camp twice. He never made the team, but I liked him. I thought he was talented, and I liked him. Another former Canuck, Lucas Biza, 14 points in 30 games, 16 minutes and 55 seconds in ice time. He struggled with injuries this year, but he's been solid. He was solid last year for Vancouver as well. He had a bad contract, and that's why Canucks fans were really ready to lose him. It wasn't as much that he wasn't a good defenseman. He was seen as a poor value defenseman. And John Merrill, 23 games, 15 minutes and 37 seconds played. Merrill cast off from the Devils. This is not a bad core for your blue line. This is not a bad start. This is way better for a blue line than I've ever seen a first-year team get. Notice I've stopped referring to Vegas as an expansion team and said first year, because to me they've changed the whole idea of an expansion team and what it is and what it could be. So let's go ahead and compare them to Tampa. So there's Hedman. 64 games, 49 points, 11 of them are goals, 26 minutes and 1 second in ice time per game. Hedman is that horse. So if you're going to look on their blue line, you look at Hedman, you look at Stralman with 21 minutes and 29 seconds, and you see these guys on the blue line who are fantastic. They've added McDonough. McDonough's first game, he got 19 minutes and 15 seconds. You've got Girardi, 17 minutes. But see, the interesting thing is, if you look at the actual numbers here for Vegas, the highest is 1836, and that's Schmidt. So what Vegas has done is they've made it so they've got their 1 through 6, and their number 6 guy plays more than a number 6 would for another team, and their number 1 plays less than a number 1 would for another team. Look at Schuster, 13 minutes. Cuckoo, when he's been in the lineup, 11:26. So ice time is managed. Sergachev, despite his 34 points, he's only playing 13 minutes and 43 seconds a game. So they're managing his time very, very well. So he'd only be 1 point behind Colin Miller for the lead on Vegas's blue line for points, but for ice time, he wouldn't even crack the top 6. So what Vegas does is they roll over their 6 blue liners, and it was part of the plan that George McPhee had. I don't think he planned on having this team in first place at this part of the point of the season. He didn't. But I felt like I should point this out, because it's always the first defense is people saying, well, look at Vegas's blue line. And my answer is always, yeah, look at it. It's actually pretty good. It's not a bad blue line. They're not a bad team. That's why they're where they are. And it's just weird, because I agree that Marc-Andre Fleury's played well when he's been in the lineup, but when Marc-Andre Fleury was hurt, they didn't fall off the map. It's not like when Carey Price gets hurt for Montreal and they take a nosedive. Not that kind of thing at all. I'm not talking about this year. Even with Carey Price, Montreal was just not happening. But to me, anyways, I think Vegas's blue line is dramatically underrated. I know when the Hockey News rated the top 31 blue lines and they rated Vegas at 31st, I looked at that and I shook my head and said they're just wrong. And this was after the season had started, so it's not like they didn't know what Vegas had. It's not like it was preseason when all of us were saying, well, Vegas is clearly going to be the worst team in the league. They're an expansion team, and they proved us all wrong. This is after the season had started. The Hockey News was still saying that they had the worst defense core in the league, and I just don't see it that way. Because when you look at the bottom, okay, so get past the top 4, and you look at the bottom for Tampa, and if you can tell me that Schuster and Coburn and Dotchin are better than McNabb, Hunt, Theodore, England, they're just not. So what they lack in that big superstar defenseman, like a Victor Hedman, they make up for in this mob mentality they have on the Vegas blue line. And everybody works together for the mutual benefit of the team, and it's worked really, really well. But I wanted to do a video where I would say, hey, that Vegas blue line, it's not bad. And this isn't a pro or anti-Marc-Andre Fleury. This is just reality. They have a good blue line. There's some good parts on it. And there's some players that would not have been available via trade had there not been an expansion. I really don't think most of these guys would have moved on from their original teams. This was just an expansion that allowed Vegas a crack at better players than anybody ever had a shot at before. And I think that's pretty awesome. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.